news for your hometown. This is WNNE News 31 Night Report.
Tonight, Vermont's legislature begins to wind down its session. Good evening, I'm Rachel Ruble. Lawmakers in Montpelier had hoped to wrap things up and head home tonight, but instead it was last-minute wrangling over some big bills, including prescription drugs and whether to let the state set prices to try to lower skyrocketing drug prices. The legislature is still at work hammering out last-minute details, hoping to adjourn sometime tonight. After dinner, the Senate agreed to form a joint committee to take up the issue of prescription drug prices again. Earlier in the day, the House rejected the original proposal because it contained a clause allowing the state to set those prices. At 9:30, the Joint Committee finally came together, hoping to find a compromise.
We're at the question where we fundamentally have to ask this. Is Vermont, is the legislature serious about reducing the price of prescription drugs for our residents? And I think this provision would allow us to do so. Further watering down is not going to be tremendously exciting to us.
The House came back a half hour later with a proposal of its own. Both chambers are still trying to come to an agreement. A special panel of New Hampshire Supreme Court has handed down a win for the legislature in the ongoing court crisis. The Judicial Conduct Committee, an entity of the Supreme Court, and the House Judiciary Committee were in a spat over their investigations into the court's justices. The Conduct Committee's lawyer wanted to be able to attend when House investigators questioned its members. He took his complaint to the court panel on Friday, and the court came back today rejecting his request. Yesterday's Million Mom March focused the country's attention on the hot-button issue of stricter gun control. News 31's Caroline Cornish has more on how the debate is hitting home for Upper Valley women.
Stratford mom Mickey Colbeck says she'll never forget her experience at yesterday's Million Mom March.
It was very moving. I'm still taking it all in. I don't know that I have the words to express that everything that I saw.
Like many moms who came to Washington in favor of gun control, Colbeck says she knows many people touched by gun violence. But she says she didn't march because she thinks no one should have the right to own a gun. She says she just wants the government to know that women's voices should be heard.
I think sometimes it takes a grassroots movement from people who threaten no one, like mothers, to start something.
But not every mother is in favor of stricter gun control laws. Some women say that both they and the children they care for are safer with a gun in the house.
I would think, honestly, that these mothers would say, yes, women need someone to defend themselves. I have a 67-year-old mother-in-law, 88 pounds on her heavy days. How is she supposed to defend herself?
And it's unclear how much of an effect the march will have on the Twin States. Vermont Governor Howard Dean points out his state has a very high gun ownership rate and a very low crime rate.
By and large, we have not had the kind of gun violence problems that have happened in other states.
But no matter which direction this debate takes, women on both sides of the issue say the aim should be towards safety. Caroline Cornish, News 31.
New Hampshire's House of Representatives is expected to vote Thursday on a bill requiring child safety locks on all handguns. Today, the Supreme Court struck down a portion of a law allowing rape victims to sue their attackers in federal court. The court ruled 5-4 that a provision of the Violence Against Women Act went too far on an issue that should be handled by the states. There's good news for some of the evacuees in Los Alamos, New Mexico. Parts of the fire-devastated city have been reopened to residents. Police say they're allowing traffic to enter the city, but those returning home will still have no electricity. Meanwhile, fire authorities still aren't predicting when they'll be able to control the 44,000-acre fire, but they say the area of the fire closest to Los Alamos has been contained. It is the most watched Senate race in the country, but this week it may lose one of its big-name candidates. Today, New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani called a press conference at City Hall, which had many wondering if he would announce whether or not to drop out of the race. But after jostling with members of the New York press corps, the man who is known for surprises is keeping everyone guessing. Candace Gibson reports.
Sorry to disappoint you, but I have no major announcement to make.
Instead, the mayor, and as of today, Senate candidate Rudy Giuliani announced he doesn't know when he'll make public his plans for the future. At issue is what sort of treatment he'll undergo for his prostate cancer, but at interest is whether or not he'll run for the Senate.
When I decide on the treatment, I will then reflect on whether or not that puts me in a position that I will be able to run the way I want to run.
Giuliani has been making news as of late, announcing 3 weeks ago he has prostate cancer, followed last week by revealing plans to separate from his wife of 16 years, Donna Hanover. Then there's all that talk around town of him possibly having a girlfriend. Still, Giuliani says his marital problems will have nothing to do with his Senate decision. Whatever he decides, he had succeeded in doing at least one thing, stealing the thunder from his would-be Senate rival, Hillary Rodham Clinton. You see, tomorrow she's supposed to make history by becoming the first First Lady ever nominated to run for a Senate seat. But still, no doubt, the news will be not that she's running, but about who she's running against. In New York, Candace Gibson, NBC News.
Well, New Hampshire Governor Jeanne Shaheen isn't keeping anyone in suspense. She says she will run for another term, but she will not say whether she will continue to veto any income tax bill should she be reelected. Shaheen's campaign committee says the governor will announce her candidacy at the end of the month. She is expected to face freshman state senator Mark Fernald in the Democratic primary. 4 Republicans are also expected to run against her. Police are looking for a pair of crooks who scammed an elderly Lebanon man Friday night. Police say a woman lured the victim out of his home while her male accomplice entered the house in the area of Meriden and LaPlante Roads. The pair drove off with a safe in a 4-door sedan with New Jersey plates. The safe was found the next day in the Rutland area, but the burglars are still at large. We have an update on a missing man we told you about last week. 77-year-old Lloyd Ackerman of Fairleigh has Alzheimer's and had driven off without taking his medication. Well, we have good news tonight. The U.S. Border Patrol found Ackerman over the weekend near the Canadian border in New York. Police say Ackerman is confused but otherwise okay. He was taken to the VA hospital in White River for observation. Still to come, President Clinton honors the nation's fallen heroes. But first, the final report as to what happened more than a year ago at Columbine High School is released. We'll tell you what's in it when we come back.
The big one.
A man holding several school children and their teachers hostage surrenders peacefully to police in Norway. The armed gunman took 25 children and 10 staff members hostage early this morning. He later released all but 5 of the children and 2 teachers. He surrendered after making a live speech on Norwegian television and then speaking with a well-known criminal defense attorney. In his televised statement, the man complained of not being allowed to speak with his own teenage children. Close to 13 months after the shootings at Columbine High School that left 15 people dead, including the two gunmen, the Sheriff's Department is releasing the final report on what happened that day. The report is expected to be used in several lawsuits that have been filed. Leanne Gregg has the latest from Denver.
An unusual way to release an extraordinary report. 1,500 written pages handed out on CD-ROM at the Jefferson County Fairgrounds. This one to the parents of one of the victims, Lance Kirkland, who was critically injured in the shooting.
I'd like to know who shot him in the face. I'd like to,
It's a timeline of events on April 20th, 1999. Detailed minute-by-minute accounts of what happened after 2 Columbine students began their rampage. The report says they'd planned to start the massacre here at exactly 11:17, but bombs planted in the school cafeteria failed to explode, their doomsday fantasy going wrong from the start. Frustrated, the killers began shooting. Within less than 30 minutes, 13 people were dead.
Look at all these students now coming out of the school right now.
The report includes news accounts from the day of the shooting, the chaos outside when an army of more than 600 officers surrounded the school.
And pipe bombs or explosives are still very much a part of this very, very tragic story.
The report says if the gunman's 95 bombs would have exploded, the death toll would have been in the hundreds. Attorneys for families filing lawsuits against the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department will analyze the report. The lawsuits claim the Sheriff's Department ignored warning signs about the killer's attack and that SWAT teams took too long to enter the school.
Now that the Sheriff's Department report has been released, a Governor's Commission will do a report of its own. Its mission is to document lessons learned and recommend ways to prevent future massacres. Leanne Gregg, NBC News, Denver.
President Clinton attended an event today honoring the 139 police officers killed in the line of duty across the country in 1999. Thousands of police officers, family members, and dignitaries gathered at the Fraternal Order of Police Peace Officers Memorial on Capitol Hill to remember those who have sacrificed their lives. During his remarks, Clinton confirmed his commitment to improving the safety of law officers and announced plans to spend $24 million to buy 90,000 bulletproof vests.
Purpose and passion was the safety of the people. We can never repay them or their families, but we can honor them, and not just with words, but with actions.
Clinton also introduced a new Medal of Honor for officers that will be awarded annually by the Attorney General. Residents and faculty at nursing homes across the Twin States are celebrating National Nursing Home Week. There are 3,000 patient beds in Vermont's 47 nursing homes. In New Hampshire, there are 90 licensed nursing homes with more than 8,000 patient beds in all. The Springfield Health and Rehab Center is ringing in the week with Marathon Bingo tomorrow and Staff Appreciation Day on Wednesday. It's celebrating its place in the healthcare system and its place in the Springfield community.
The length of stays have decreased to, like, in some places 7 days or less, or 19 days or less. And, you know, the number of admissions that you do in a year, for instance, last year we did like 365 admissions and just about that many discharges, and probably 80% of those folks went home, which is a real evolution in nursing facilities.
There are more than 100 beds at the Health and Rehab Center, tended by about 140 employees. If you're sneezing and wheezing, you're not alone. Seasonal allergies affect about 36 million Americans. Doctors and pharmacists say this year's allergy season is among the worst in recent years. News 31's Catherine Duffy has more.
Springtime means the trees are in full bloom, and so is allergy season.
We've really noticed an explosion of allergy symptoms.
Runny noses, sneezing, and watery eyes have many sufferers itching for relief.
It's something that happens every year. Some years are much worse than others, and this is one of those years that's going to be pretty bad.
Doctors say that's because this spring's unusually wet and warm weather has increased the amount of pollen and mold trees release into the air.
Mostly the pollens that are out right now are pine pollens, maple pollens, and dandelions are starting to bloom, and certainly other flowers or some other grasses that are beginning to bloom.
Many people can control their allergies through over-the-counter medications like these, but the Centers for Disease Control says seasonal allergies still send more than 8 million people to their doctor's offices every year.
I'm seeing a lot of kids with nasal congestion, a lot of asthma that's kicking up, a lot of adults with asthma.
Pharmacists say there are no quick-fix solutions.
When it hits, nobody's prepared, and it takes a while to get the medicine in the system and working for people.
But relief is in sight. Nasal steroids can reduce inflammation, and doctors say if over-the-counter antihistamines don't work or make you too sleepy, non-drowsy formulas like Claritin are available by prescription and should not keep you from enjoying the spring. Catherine Duffy, News 31, Lebanon.
Even if you don't personally suffer from seasonal allergies, experts say we all pay for it. A recent study on allergies and the workplace found that increased absenteeism and reduced productivity cost U.S. companies more than $250 million a year. After watching a generation of Upper Valley kids grow up, the Montshire Museum is doing some growing of its own. The Norwich Museum is going ahead with plans to develop a science park. Planners want to take advantage of the nearby Connecticut River to give kids hands-on experience with their natural surroundings. The estimated cost of the water pumps, fountains, and other exhibits runs more than $4 million. That's more than it cost to build the museum itself 10 years ago.
This will be largely going to the community and saying, if you believe in the things that we've done thus far and like the excitement behind the new ideas, we hope that you'll come forward and help us. And we'll be talking to a lot of people, corporations as well as individuals, some foundations, and hoping that the excitement of this project will sell itself.
A grant jump-started landscaping on the park last year. Principal construction is set to begin next June with the grand opening planned for next fall. Well, we're coming off a beautiful Mother's Day weekend, but today the clouds rolled in. What does the rest of the week look like? Tom Hoyt has the answer when we come back.
Marvin. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for being up with us on this Monday evening. Certainly not a bad weather day today off a gorgeous Mother's Day. You just get an idea that who knows who. Nice Mother's Day, not a bad day today. And all in all, the weather week doesn't look all that bad. Got to tell you, though, today in weather lore, well, a big one. Now, granted, It was 166 years ago, but as late a big snowstorm as we have had around the Twin State region, it was in the middle of May back in 1834. That's right, 2 feet of snow on the ground in Newbury, a foot reported at both Rutland and at Randolph. You can talk all you want about global warming, about weather patterns changing, who knows, but you can have snow, that much snow, in the middle of May, and we have the records to prove it. No snow in the forecast, but we do have some cold weather to talk about. This is where temperatures were very early this morning, 5, 6 o'clock this morning, and you will notice in Whitefield that's below freezing. There is a frost advisory in effect for much of the Twin State region because not only are skies clear with a near full flower moon, but also the winds have died down. So there is a distinct possibility that especially some of the northern areas will dip below that 32-degree mark. A word to the wise. That plant that you got for Mother's Day that's out on the porch right now, go get it. I know it's late, it's chilly, go get it. Better you a little bit cold right now than the plant dead tomorrow morning. Trust me. We had a lot of sunshine early today. We had this little area of clouds that moved in, especially northern areas. There were a couple of sprinkles around too. But high pressure is going to start to move in, and see this area right here? We're in pretty good shape for much of the daylight hours tomorrow. Late day tomorrow, some of these clouds will start to move in, but we're in for a pretty good weather day. Lots of sunshine. That airflow out of the west and southwest will warm us 5-10 degrees warmer than we were today, in the 60s to lower 70s. So outdoor plans Tuesday looks like a very good day. Now, as the day goes on and this frontal system starts to move in, so too will some of these clouds and showers. But it looks like they're going to get sort of shunted off to our north and to our west. Some showers late Tuesday, maybe early Wednesday. Then we move into another fair weather pattern for Wednesday and Thursday. So as I said, we're in pretty good shape. 522, 609 for your sunrise and sunset as we start to narrow in on 15 hours of possible daylight. Clear and cool tonight. Again, that frost advisory in effect. A lot of sunshine early tomorrow morning, then we'll call it partly sunny for the afternoon with late day clouds and showers. Temperatures will be in the 60s to near the 70-degree mark. So maybe a few showers late Tuesday into early Wednesday, but right now Wednesday looks like a pretty good day. A little bit warmer on Thursday, and the projections are for maybe a shower or thunderstorm late Thursday, and then Friday looks okay. So it's not total sunshine all week long, but there'll be quite a bit of sunshine and temperatures pretty much where they should be this time of year. Rachel?
Thanks, Tom. Coming up in sports, the NASCAR world bids farewell to its youngest star. And Hanover and Lebanon square off on the diamonds. Dominick Aielli has the highlights next.
Now, here's Dominick Aielli with News 31 Sports.
Going through Red Sox withdrawals. They're still on the road, but they've been playing pretty well.
Pretty well. They've been playing great. I think they're the hottest team probably in baseball.
I like that.
You can tell I'm a Red Sox fan with that statement, huh? The hottest team in baseball. Well, now that the Red Sox have proven that the Orioles were never a serious contender for a playoff spot, they can start discounting the Blue Jays. Boston outscored Baltimore by 29 runs in their 4-game sweep at Camden Yards, all without Nomar Garciaparra and Carl Everett. Both are still out tonight as the first place Bo Sox start a third 3-game set in Toronto. But their replacements kept cranking. Donley Sadler in for Nomar beats out the chopper. That scores Jeff Fry. We are tied at 1 in the 5th. Still frame number 5, Darren Lewis in for Carl. Lewis went 3 for 5. This single scores Wilton Veras 2 ribbies on the night for D-Lou 2-1 Sox. But star number 1 goes to Pete Shurik. Lefty went 8 full. King Jose Cruz Jr. 5 Ks, only 4 hits, 1 unearned run for Shurik. He retired the final 13 batters. Boston rolls 8-1. Their 6th straight victory. They are 1 full game ahead of the idle Yankees. Tim Wakefield goes for win number 7 in a row. Tomorrow, how about college softball score for you? Dartmouth falls in the ECAC championship 2-1, but a great season nonetheless. 32-16 their record. To the high school diamonds, Lebanon hosting Hanover. Marauders won the earlier matchup this year. Raiders' Andy Davis on the mound and in trouble. Zach Merback drives in Alex Gorman from third. Visitors up 2-0. Same frame. Runners at the corners. Davis rears back and K's another Zach. That would be Zach Fauner. Not a bad game for Davis, but the Marauders' Tobin Whitman was better. A shutout For Whitman, Hanover 4, Lebanon nothing. Let the clouds move in for the softball side. Same two teams, 5-1 Marauders in the 5th. Raiders. Katie Jo Chapman capitalizes on the RBI opportunity. The deficit is 3. Sarah Jambak was another Raider pitcher in trouble all day. Here she gets the backwards K to end the frame. Not enough, though. Hanover completes the sweep 7-3 over Lebanon. Well, Ray Bork decided to give his injured leg another day of rest. The Avalanche didn't need the former Bruin in Game 1 of the Western Finals. Colorado beat Dallas 2-0 on Saturday. Could the Rayless Avs do it again in the Lone Star State? Well, that's what I'm here to tell you. Second period, no score. Adam Deadmarsh with the slap shot, if you want to call it that, and it slides in. Sandis Ozolinsh deflects it home 25 seconds into the second for the goal. Now watch this. The Avalanche lose the puck. They're up. They're down 2-1. That would be your game winner. Jari Lehtinen with the feed to Brett Hull. Hull slaps it home. Stars hold on 3-2. That series is tied at 1 game apiece. How about the basketball side? NBA. No Reggie Miller for the Pacers. No Matt Geiger for the 76ers. Both are suspended. Didn't need him for the Sixers. Look at Allen Iverson. The 76ers showing their youth. 37 points, 15-point lead in the second quarter for the Sixers. Let's go to the 4th. Theo Ratliff. Theo Ratliff had 26 points tonight, the three-point play. Sixers all over the Pacers, and Larry Bird has got to be shaking his head. 107-86. Indiana still leads the series 3-2. Well, much like the Sixers, Bobby Knight will live to see another day. Indiana University has decided that Knight will remain on the sidelines, but has issued a zero-tolerance policy. Part of the sanctions are a 3-game suspension, $30,000 fine, and he must apologize to those he has offended in the past. That'll take a long time. In his investigation, the IU president found there had been a protracted troubling pattern of behavior in which Knight has not controlled his temper. Any outburst from this day on will result in immediate dismissal. The president also said Knight has given his word that he will take extraordinary steps to change his behavior. The 59-year-old was not at the press conference today. Knight has been at the school for 29 years and will live to see number 30. Well, all the biggest names in NASCAR were there. Dale Jarrett, Ward Burton, and don't forget both Kyle and Richard Petty. But it wasn't for a race. The racing world said goodbye to Adam Petty in North Carolina today. The youngest member of NASCAR's first family died when his car crashed into a wall during practice for the Busch 200 at New Hampshire International Speedway. On Friday, over 1,000 mourners attended the memorial service. Adam's sister delivered the eulogy and said, quote, "Things will never be the same. No cause has been found for the crash yet. Adam Petty was just 19 years young." And you'll want to tune in tomorrow night when Joe Calderon introduces us to 11-year-old Tommy Gould of Windsor. Tommy's trying to raise money to play basketball in the Dominican Republic, but that's not his complete story. Much more to the story. Stay tuned tomorrow night at 6 and 11. Joe Calderon will introduce us to little Tommy Gould. Great story.
Quite the amazing kid, I'm hearing.
Yes, yes, you got to see him play.
Can't wait. We'll be right back. Finally tonight, New Hampshire is trying to clean up the air by using alternative fuels for some state cars. These may look like ordinary cars, but they run on natural gas. The governor's energy office hopes to buy 7 of the cars by the end of this year and 22 by the year 2001. Officials say at $2 per gallon, the gas is expensive now, but they expect it to cost just $1 per gallon within a couple of years. And that's a report. That's not bad. That's a report for now. Good night.